Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for joining the Raleigh AEP user group. This is the first user group that we have for AEP in Raleigh or in North Carolina in general. So thank you again for joining. I'm really excited to be kicking this off, especially as a professionals around this area start leveraging Adobe more and more, having a kind of a cohort of professionals that we can rely on to learn from around AEP will be super useful. So thank you again for joining me today. With it being the first meeting for this AEP user group, what I wanted to do was just do some brief introductions. So I'll introduce myself, and then you can introduce yourself as well. And as people join, they can do their intros as well. We'll go over the user group expectations. So basically your expectations of me and my expectations of the group, when we'll be meeting, what are the topics of discussion, how we should be behaving in the user group, and etc. And then we will dig into our first topic, which will be the highlights from Adobe Summit 2026. So I unfortunately did not get a chance to go to Adobe Summit this year, but excited to share a couple of the key learnings that came out of it, and eager to hear some of the learnings that you may have coming out of that as well. So to introduce myself, I'm Ryan Moravik. I'm the user group leader. I currently work at General Motors as a product manager on our MarTech cross-product engagement team. So I help to design solutions that leverage General Motors Adobe MarTech stack across AJO, Campaign V8, AEP, RTCDP. I was originally brought on as a MarTech solutions architect, and designed some solutions leveraging AJO and Campaign V8 for things like dynamic link tracking for those platforms, one click unsubscribe for Campaign V8 and AJO, and a few other initiatives. Before joining General Motors, I was on the kind of the client agency side. So I was a digital marketing engineer for TELUS Digital for about 5 years, where I led clients through Adobe MarTech implementations for AEP, RTCDP, AJO, and Marketo Engage. So I worked with Fortune 500 clients working across different verticals like telecom, financial technology, grocery retail, insurance. And part of that experience, leading those implementations, I led kind of every facet of an Adobe MarTech implementation, from use case discovery to scoping requirements and defining roadmaps, creating different documentation for data testing and data validation, ERDs and schema definitions, those sorts of things, into some of the more day-to-day platform tasks, such as data ingestion through different sources, audience activation and creation to different destinations, leveraging query service, defining governance policies. More recently, starting to leverage some of the newer capabilities that Adobe has, such as federated audience composition, and getting those things set up, and participating in some of the alpha and beta programs that AEP has for things like health checks and delta sharing using Databricks and those sorts of things. So really leveraging Adobe knowledge across that role. I got started in Adobe with Marketo Engage. So I think that was actually maybe before Adobe acquired Marketo, but I was a marketing ops specialist at Epic Games in Cary. So I was developing email programs and webinar programs and newsletter programs for Fortnite and Unreal Engine for their enterprise brand, leveraging Marketo. So that's kind of where I got my start with Adobe in general. So outside of work, I live just outside of between Raleigh and Wake Forest, and kind of North Raleigh area. With my wife, we've lived in this house for about a year, and we have a Great Dane. Her name's Phoebe, and you may see her kind of wandering behind my camera sometimes. So that's her. When in my spare time, I like to exercise. I've been a competitive weightlifter for about 12 years, and I go to a gym in Morrisville to do that. And I like to read, usually something, science fiction or fantasy. I enjoy hiking when it's not, 100 degrees outside and we're not in a drought. So I haven't been hiking very often. And then, I like to just hang out and play video games sometimes, or, go try new restaurants and different coffee shops and stuff around the Raleigh area. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Nilesh, to just give an introduction about yourself, where you work, what's your position, your experience with AEP. This group is not limited to, experts in AEP, so anyone with any experience can join the group. So I'm curious to hear about your experience in AEP as well. And then what do you like to do outside of work for fun? Can be, hobbies or going to restaurants, anything. And then lastly, what are you most excited about being part of the group, and what are you hoping to get out of the group?
Sure. Yeah, so quickly. So myself, Nilesh Chavan. I'm working with Cognizant Technology Solutions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm supporting a client, Kaiser Permanente, which is a healthcare client in California. I'm working there as a senior technical architect. So we are basically supporting their kp.org portal, which basically has multiple, like almost 100 applications we have that we support. And I'm part of like a team. I'm leading a team basically, which is responsible for developing the shared components, like shared functionalities on the Adobe AEM. Since last year, like I've started on Adobe back in 2017. Prior to that, like I worked for 10 years in Informatica, Perl, JavaScripting, and XML, XSLTs. So I worked with the LexisNexis, which is a publishing client. And then in 2017, I kind of wanted to change outside the Informatica and try something different. So since I had a Java background, so I kind of tried my hands on Adobe AEM, and so I started working from Adobe this AEM 6.3. That was my first project. So I worked with AGCO, which is a German agricultural equipment manufacturing company. So I kind of led a team to set up their portal for one of their product line. Then I moved to I worked probably for 2 or 3 years, and then I moved to NetCentric, which is a European company which primarily work on the Adobe products. So I worked with NetCentric for about, currently I'm part of that, but it was acquired by Cognizant like some time back, and since then I'm part of Cognizant NetCentric. So I moved here in US in 2022 for this client Kaiser. Prior to that, with NetCentric, I supported Kia, the Kia Germany website. So basically, we built their car configurator application where you can choose the car, add-ons, and all those things, right? So we built their live applications, which was a legacy application, and we built it into Angular. And I kind of responsible for rolling it out for multiple markets before I moved to this Kaiser client. So primarily I'm working on Adobe AEM sites, Adobe DAM. That's the primary that we are using here. And since last year we started working on the Adobe data client layer. So we kind of built our own EDDL, the event-driven data layer here in Kaiser Permanente.
Yep.
And Marketo is something that I started kind of integrating with AEM last year, and this year, I mean, the most part, basically, our customer wanted to move because they are focusing on the analytics part, so they wanted to integrate some of the offerings from the uh, Adobe Experience Cloud. So that's where AEP is something that they are going to start this year. And that was the thing when I got your invitation. I thought, okay, this is the right opportunity because I had a theoretical knowledge, but not really a practical hands-on on the AEP. So I thought probably, yeah, this is a good forum. Probably I can start with, which would probably help me in my project experience when we start on it, right? So yeah, that was the main driving point for me to be part of this group. And yeah, outside of work, I we moved to Raleigh like 3 years back. I was in Atlanta for a year.
Okay.
Moved here. I stay in Cary, uh, kind of border of Cary and Apex. And hobbies, yeah, I like to just read about the new electronics stuff which gets into the market. I like to try out those things, and yeah, in free time I watch some horror movies. Yeah, that's pretty much yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Cool. That's very exciting. I'm going to stop sharing just for a second so I can see see if anyone else joined. Okay, no one else has joined yet. That's fine. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay. You see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's dig into a little bit more about what it means to be part of an Adobe user group. I don't know if have you participated in any other user groups for Adobe before?
I was kind of active in the community, so I used to be like the certification reviewer to set up
Oh, okay.
certifications. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. So Adobe user groups, their aim is to obviously bring Adobe professionals together regionally, either in person or virtually. I'm hoping to get some in-person meetings scheduled here for us as we continue, but this person will be virtual, obviously, to create an open and inclusive community to help us network and share ideas and recommend best practices, collectively problem solve, and provide ongoing education, which I think is kind of the reason why you're here, and I think other people are obviously will join too, is to kind of share best practices and collectively problem solve, bring different use cases and ideas to the group to help us to continue to learn about AEP and its apps. So it's these are peer-to-peer communities, and we're going to meet regularly, and they're led by Adobe users who help each other understand and succeed using the product. So we'll meet. The plan is to meet quarterly. We can meet more regularly than that if there is a desire to. I'm happy to meet on a more regular basis, just kind of depending on what the group wants. And you'll notice that there are user groups listed here for the other products. So Marketo has a user group. I was part of that user group for a little bit. Adobe Analytics has one. AEM has one. AEP has a few, obviously, and then Adobe Workfront. So you'll notice that RT, CDP, AJO, and CJA aren't present in the list. That's because they all fall under the AEP user group. So this is technically AEP and its apps as part of the user group. So pretty much anything that has to do with AEP, RT, CDP, AJO, and CJA are all fair game to bring to topics of conversation to the group, which will be really cool because it's a very wide breadth of products and different capabilities. So that'll be good to bring to the rest of the group.
Sure.
And like I mentioned, our purpose is to provide that space for us to come together and meet to provide problem solving and continuing to learn about the products and share or improve our skills, creating that shared network of users and help us showcase our expertise and success even by, like presenting in the user group. So if that's something that you or other people are interested in doing for one of like the meetings, if you've kind of discovered something that was really helpful to a client and you'd like to share it with the group, this is a perfect place to do that, because we're all here to learn about, the platform. So if that's ever a topic of discussion that you or any of the other members want to bring up, we can absolutely make room to do that. And our purpose, again, is to provide, educational resources, whether from Adobe or from each other, to, recommend best practices for providing customer value through our continued learnings of the platforms. The next bit is about member guidelines. So these guidelines apply to anyone who participates in these user groups, whether through our meetings or through any events. And participants are expected to adhere to Adobe's user group guidelines, and they are as follows. So in the interest of fostering an open and welcoming environment, we as user group members pledge to making participation in our user groups a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of age, body size, disability, ethnicity, gender and identity and expression, level of experience, nationality, personal appearance, race, religion, or sexual identity and orientation. And so the behaviors that contribute to a positive environment are welcoming and inclusive language, being respectful of differing viewpoints and experiences, gracefully accepting constructive criticism, and showing empathy towards other user group members. Examples of unacceptable behavior include sexualized language or imagery and unwelcome sexual attention or advances, trolling, insulting derogatory comments and personal or political attacks, public or private harassment, publishing others' private information, such as a physical address or electronic address without their explicit permission, and other conduct which could reasonably be considered inappropriate in a professional setting. These are the guidelines that we will adhere to across all of our meetings. And if you or you witness any examples of this unacceptable behavior come up, please let me know so that I can escalate that to the higher Adobe team members. And again, our guiding principles are to be respectful, be supportive, be authentic, be truthful, and be lawful. Okay. So now what I wanted to do as our first topic was to dig into some of the highlights from Adobe Summit 2026. Did you by chance get to go this year?
No, I was expecting to go, but yeah, some last minute things happened and then we couldn't.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was kind of expecting to go, and then there was some kind of last minute changes and I didn't get to go. So great. There are three highlights that I wanted to cover off on through just some of the research that I did and from watching, some of the events from Adobe Summit. The first one, I think probably the biggest one, is CX Enterprise. So this is a comprehensive AI system that combines AI agents, skills, and MCP endpoints with Adobe level governance and AEP governance to provide reliable, auditable workflows for personalized brand experiences. So this will be a way to essentially combine AEP and its apps through this AI system, leveraging AI agents to be able to gather insights from different platforms and make personalized brand experiences and make workflows that much more powerful and more accurate. And so some of the things that coming out of CX Enterprise are some of the new agents that are available or going to be available in those Adobe apps. So these agents They are there to help simplify complex tasks and to support things like customer retention and growth. And they're built on AEP or Agent Orchestrator, and they integrate across Adobe apps as well as some third-party tools and cover everything from customer engagement, content, and branding. So you think about like AJO or AEM, Workfront, those types of platforms are also included there. And Adobe ensures the quality and governance that you expect from AEP, while expanding these features into platforms like Amazon Quick, ChatGPT Enterprise, Copilot, and more. CX Enterprise also offers developers new tools to help access Adobe's agentic skills, their MCP servers, infrastructure, and being able to integrate these capabilities into different AI tools such as Anthropic Claude, Google Cloud, Microsoft, OpenAI, and more, which will make it easy to use these features within marketing and creative tools. And with those agentic skills come with agentic skills catalog, which is, think of it as kind of a reusable modular instruction on how to build these custom workflows leveraging those agents. So these will be kind of packaged reusable instructions that you can use for that. And they're all built on Adobe's intelligence engine to work with your customer data and business goals, which really allows for a ton of customization to fit the organizational needs while maintaining Adobe's expertise. I'm curious on what your first impressions were to CX Enterprise. Were they positive or negative, or what did you think?
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Like, I mean, it's for the last 1 year, I'm still thinking like where Adobe is going, because the main thing is that the competitors, right? I think the licensing cost. I mean, that is what is forcing a lot of customers away from Adobe and the kind of tight integration that they have, right?
Yeah.
So that is what we are finding it very challenging to convince our customer that to be there, because recently we are in the process of migrating to 6.5 LTS, and we were thinking that instead of doing that LTS migration, why don't we directly go to cloud? And there are so many tight I mean, the rules and all that they have, right? Each customers, they want a lot of control on their side, but the cloud kind of takes away all that thing. So and the kind of AI support the other tools are getting compared to Adobe, right? Somehow I look like Adobe is slightly behind in comparison.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what. Yeah. I'm really hoping that okay, they kind of spend more time or probably invest more into the AI side of it and make it more kind of easy integrations. So if they can open it a slightly bit, and with EDS, it is kind of a lot of customers who are purely on just the websites, right? No transactional things. I think they are moving to EDS. It is finding it very easy for them. But where we have the hybrid, there is a real challenge. And most of the long or the bigger customers, they all of them have the hybrid model, right? So that's the thing.
Yeah, that'll be interesting for sure, especially around, like you mentioned, the integrations and some of the limitations, I think, around some of the integrations right now and how they address them, and how they hopefully expand on them with CX Enterprise. So yeah, that'll be interesting to follow. With CX Enterprise, there comes CX Enterprise Coworker. So Coworker enables businesses to integrate those AI agents into different workflows in order to boost automation while maintaining that kind of human level oversight. You're able to coordinate tasks across different agents to meet business goals, such as improving your marketing campaigns. And so Coworker is, I think we kind of touched on this a little bit with enterprise, kind of is shifting away from kind of the campaign-based tasks to obviously an AI-focused one that is continuously learning and takes, different signals from engagement and from customer interactions in order to recommend actions in real time. So really, really powerful new tool there. It integrates with different Adobe apps like AJO and CJA and RTCDP to turn different insights into action while keeping you, the architect or the product manager, kind of involved through the whole planning, execution, and optimization processes. The Coworker uses open standards like MCP for smooth integration across different Adobe apps, as well as AI platforms, so Amazon Web Service and Google Cloud, Microsoft OpenAI. Adobe also recently partnered with NVIDIA to combine security and marketing intelligence to create a complete solution, especially for regulated industries. And so this also allows for enhanced access to different apps like RTCDP and Journey Optimizer. I mentioned being able to draw upon different insights and turn them into real-time action. So you're able to leverage your insights from RTCDP and Journey Optimizer, CJA, Marketo, Adobe Target, even external market signals, and being able to take them and incorporate them in new tools such as engagement intelligence, Journey Optimizer, loyalty, CX analytics, and expanded RTCDP profiles. So that'll be really interesting to see how they expand those profiles and what they allow there. And Coworker is adaptable across, like I mentioned, Adobe apps, obviously, but also third-party AI and custom interfaces, which will be available soon. Curious to hear your thoughts on Coworker, especially after the enterprise solution or CX enterprise. What are your thoughts on that?
I haven't heard much about this one. So still have to go through a lot of things because of this everything's upgrades. Most of our time has been like this. Yeah, definitely would like to catch up, and whatever the highlights that you have made here, right? I mean, those are kind of making me wonder. Like, probably I will read through again.
Yeah, I'm interested in some of these new features like engagement intelligence, Journey Optimizer, loyalty, CX analytics, those sorts of things. Curious to see how those work out. So. And then the last thing, the last highlight I wanted to cover was brand intelligence. So this is definitely more of AI-driven kind of content supply chain type feature. So it's an AI-driven platform that helps create dynamic brand knowledge graph from your first-party data, such as your brand guidelines, your different assets, and campaign data. And it helps support your enterprise teams by ensuring brand consistency and protecting brand integrity and speeding up content production. So like I mentioned, very content supply chain focused, and being able to leverage AI to validate some AI generated assets. So being able to generate AI assets and validate them against your brand guidelines and compliance rules, checking images and copy for brand and legal standards to maintain consent or maintain consistent brand safe output across teams and channels. I mentioned leveraging your brand guidelines, so being able to combine your first party data, such as kind of your modular kits, your brand books, your design systems, even past campaigns, and creating kind of a central repository or graph for AI to leverage and use for creating new approved assets, campaign briefs, and other iterations of different work. And so you're able to automate that brand consistency again through that centralized brand management, helping keep your content on brand, automate kind of manual brand checks, and overcoming challenges like siloed teams and manual reviews and limited performance data. Some things that I think we might be all too familiar with, to help automate and relieve some of those blockers to content supply chain. Any initial thoughts on brand intelligence? I don't know if this one had popped up in your findings, but any initial thoughts on this?
I think the first point is very good. Like it will
Yeah.
be the AI that will be generating the brand guidelines, assets, and everything, right? But there will still be you still have human intervention, right? Because for the validation purpose, so we still need to see how it adheres to the brand guidelines and how it captures the confidence on the customer side. Yeah. It will be like it will be very time consuming at the beginning, but
Yeah.
but I think as they progress, I think it will get streamlined. But I'm not sure about the setup that it would require, right? The initial setup and whether it's a implementation heavy or what exactly it is, right? Because typically any AI which generates the images or videos, right? They require a lot of power, right? So that is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The initial setup of like compiling your brand guidelines, establishing the compliance rules, and then kind of having to teach the AI system what that is, and that could probably be a pretty heavy hurdle to cross at first, but hopefully it's kind of a simple task and it's able to pick it up pretty quickly. But yeah, I agree that that first step is probably going to be the hardest. And then you're constantly, as your content changes, you have to update the AI system, or is it going to be able to pick up on those changes and those sorts of things? Also, like how does this compete with other, I guess, AI powered, we'll say like templating services? So like other tools that create email or SMS templates that leverage AI. Like how does it compare in terms of like recognizing brand guidelines and those sorts of things? So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But I think this could be really helpful for content supply chain, and reduce a lot of the manual effort around updating brand rules, and having to update like legal footer and reviews and that sort of thing. So I think that could be pretty cool. Now I'd like to open it up to you, and just get your thoughts on what was the most exciting thing that you saw coming out of Adobe Summit, and some questions to consider when you're thinking about these things are like, does it solve a current problem or use case for your client? Does it unlock additional use cases that maybe your client hasn't thought of yet? And the last one, which I think you kind of touched on a little bit during the CX Enterprise portion, was like, what are some blockers to like adopting these new features do you see your clients facing or other companies facing, that sort of thing? So I'll open it up to you to kind of dig into that a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this like the focus for our client this year and probably going forward is more of the customer engagements, because for the last few years Uh, they are pretty much like on the traditional side of the websites, so it's not very intuitive. Or I mean, the first time when I saw their website, I was like, am I still in 2020s or it is back in like 2010s, right? Because the way they have there. But I think a lot of in the healthcare, the problem is that you have to make the website which can be easily accessible by all age groups, right? So that is one of the major challenge that we have. I mean, for me, I can easily access the website, but you always have to think from the senior citizens and all. So that is one of the problem that we have. And probably, I was looking at the other website, other healthcare providers like Aetna or the Humana. I mean, they have a very solid tech stack there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think this year we have been trying to improve on that, the analytics part of it, whatever it is, right? So analytics and the customer journey. So that has been major driving factor this year. So that's where the AEP, AJO, all those like actually real-time CDP. So all those
Yeah.
that we are planning to integrate this year. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how that pans out in the next 6 months. Uh, so yeah, that's pretty much yeah. So the challenges part is like having this the AEM as a cloud, right? So that's something they have shelved for now because we have upgraded to AEM 6.5 LTS, so that gives them some more time to think about how to go about the AEM as a cloud service. So yeah, that's still yeah, probably that discussion will still be around how we can, I mean, or if they want to completely move out of Adobe ecosystem because yeah, more and more uh, limitations that they come to know. I mean, that makes them drive away from the alien ecosystem. It's, it's
Yeah.
very hard for them to like convince because I think our customer they were on the SharePoint portal back in 2017 and getting them onto the Adobe itself was a big challenge. And now that they have been here again, they're thinking about it. So yeah, let's see. I mean, how this the AEP part probably that might compel them to stay on the Adobe system if they see a good results with the overall analytics and the journey optimizer stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really excited about it. Let's see how it can span out.
And so has your client already gone through like the procurement for like R2CDP and AGO, or is that something they're still evaluating?
Yeah, so they have evaluated. They have had the workshop with the Adobe teams and our cognizant experts as well. And yeah, they have made a decision to go with the AP. So the licensing and all that stuff that is in progress right now. And probably by
Okay.
end of this month, we will be getting the sandboxes and all to start. Yeah,
Cool. Well, that's really exciting.
yeah. So that's why I said. I mean, when I saw your invite, I was like, for the AEP, I was like, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to like to learn because I have been on the theory side. I mean, I've read all the documentation and everything, but I mean, having a hands-on
Yeah.
understanding from people who have already been there, done that, so that would definitely help. I mean, I have someone to like ask questions in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be nice to like have a shared, not maybe a shared sandbox to work in. I don't know if maybe that's something that Adobe can provide. Obviously, I don't want to use GMs, and you probably don't want to use your clients for something like this, but yeah, maybe like a shared sandbox. Maybe I'll take that. I'll take that back as feedback, and maybe they have like a demo environment that we can kind of play around in and work through different use cases and stuff like that. Might be useful.
Yep.
I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second. Okay, it's still just us. That's fine. Seeing if anyone else joined during that time. Okay, let's see. Well,